76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Is that you? I'm the CEO of 5 different companies. I wasn't born into it. We lived on welfare, but I wanted more. I created this show, The School of Wealth, helping people escape poverty like I did. I want to help you out of that consumer debt, teach you how to increase your credit score, teach you how to make more money at your current job or your current business, and then how to actually create generational wealth without changing your lifestyle. It is going to be a lot of fun. This is not like regular school. Hey, I'm Ronnie Lambeth, and this is The School of Wealth. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ronnie Lambeth, and today I have a very special guest on the show. And I know I say that often, but today I really mean it. I have a very special person that I talk to almost every single day, a young lady that I've known now for about 2.5 months. And I really enjoy working with her, talking to her, and just spending time with her. And her name is Emily Crook. Emily, thanks for coming on today's show.
Of course, it's such a pleasure. It always is, Rondi. I look forward to our daily calls.
So Emily is one of my business partners in my financial services company that Ed Milet and I are involved with. And Emily is one of the financial advisors that helps out, and she helps a lot of my clients that are looking to secure their future, start a retirement account, build wealth, protect their wealth, and then grow their wealth. And Emily helps me with truly the heavy lifting. I don't like doing paperwork. I almost said I'm not good at it, but I try to cancel out those kind of things, saying I'm not good at something. I don't like to do the paperwork. And so Emily helps out and does that. And she is, in her own words, a nerd when it comes to setting up wealth growing programs and retirement plans and insurance policies. So Emily the nerd. Right?
Honestly, I'm a proud nerd. I love the details. I love the nitty gritty. I'm the type of person that reads all the fine print. And whenever you see a commercial, there's always like those small grayed out lines. I'm like by the screen, like, what does that say?
Yeah. You hit pause.
Yeah, I hit pause. I read it all.
Yeah. That's awesome. So if you're listening to this on a podcast, you can probably figure out Emily is not quite as aged as I am. And if you're watching it on YouTube, you can see that she is fairly young. How old are you, Emily?
Okay, well, that's funny. So I always like to throw it out in the world. If you're watching this on YouTube, I know I look like I'm 10. I understand that. I'm 24.
You're 24.
Almost 25.
When do you turn 25?
October 4th.
October 4th. You know, my son, this is going to sound funny. I don't know if you know this, but my son just turned 26 a couple days ago.
No, I didn't know that. What?
Yeah, my daughter's turning 30 at the end of the month.
That I knew.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a couple months, and you got involved in our business through Frank, a mutual friend from the Arte Syndicate. And how long have you been involved with Ed and the financial services company?
Honestly, just under 3 months ago.
So 3 months. So during COVID.
And anyone who knows me, Rondi, I go all in. When my name's behind something, you better believe I'm going to put 110% of my effort into it.
All right. So if you're listening to this right now, this is August 2020. So if it's 5 years from now, this was during COVID. Hopefully, if you're listening to it 5 years from now, we don't even know what COVID is anymore. We forgot about it, but we'll see what happens with that. So during the middle of COVID, so in May, roughly May, you started?
It was late May when I actually got into it. Yep.
All right. So how much experience as a very experienced 24-year-old did you have in money, credit, taxes, retirement accounts, insurance? How much experience did you have in that?
Well, high level, for those who do not know me, I'm not your typical 24-year-old. So I did go to undergrad and grad at the University of Florida. I studied business, and my first touch in the financial world was in mortgage industry throughout grad school. So that I I studied tax returns, understood credit. But the cash value accumulation side, retirement, the actual wealth building, yeah, I would say 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. So you're fairly new. And it's not like, in the reason I brought that up is I have a lot of people that watch the show, a lot of people that listen to the show, and they come to me for credit advice and money advice and tax advice. And one of the things I teach is the number one way to get ahead in life, to become somebody, to build wealth and pay less taxes is to start a home-based business. And I'm hiring like crazy. I've built a huge team and it gets bigger every single day. And Emily is on part of that team. And her and I are also building separate teams. But the reason I brought that up, Emily, is I want people to understand that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can get involved in this. We have, I think my oldest team member is like 77 years old, and she's starting to do really well. And then I think you might be the youngest. I don't know. Is Travis younger than you? Travis
No,
is a new
24.
member. 24. Okay.
Yeah, 26, 24. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe, but anything in between, moms, dads, stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads, electricians, whatever. It doesn't matter what you are. You can get involved with our financial services company. And I'd like, if it's okay with you, Emily, just kind of go over your experience so far and what you've done, and then go over some of the things that you're doing. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been with us now 3 months, and you got coded with our company, which means you get a code inside our company. We have 50,000 or so agents, if you will. I think we added 28,000 last month. Isn't that what Ed said?
Yeah, 28,000. Yep.
28,000. And the majority of them are going to quit, because just like with any business, whether it's McDonald's or, a dog groomer business, 90% of businesses will go out or fail. So just like in any business, 90% of people that we recruit and hire for our company will probably quit. It's just what people do. But I think we have over 50,000 licensed right now that are active with us, and we are looking to hire more. Our goal is to help 20 million families over the next 10 years, and to create more $1 million earners than any other financial services company in history. And I think we're going to do it. I don't think it's going to take us 10 years. What do you think, Emily?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Especially the results we've seen the past 2 months. No way.
Yeah. So you started roughly 3 months ago. And tell me about that. So one of the first things you got to do is you got to get licensed. And so how long did that take you to get licensed so you can actually help people with their finances?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the day that I received my code, I said, you know what? This is the start of something new. This is a new chapter in my life. So I'm going all in. Each state has a pre-licensing course. It's relatively easy, okay? And maybe grad school will be like, what the heck? So I did that in 3 days.
3 days. You were licensing, pre-licensing school in 3 days.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
And after I did that, I went ahead and I sat down for my state exam. And now, depending on what your state you're in, you're actually, you could take home exams.
Oh, wow. I think Texas is doing that, right? Is there any other states doing
I know New York is doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I sat down the following week and received my state exam, got my fingerprint done. So upon getting coded, it took me a full 2 weeks to officially have my Florida license, which is my current resident state.
So 2 weeks. So from start to finish, it took you 2 weeks.
Correct.
In order to 2 weeks to get fully licensed so you can start making money.
Yep.
All right. So you got coded, which means you're a business owner now. You did your pre-licensing, you took your test. 2 weeks later, you now can make money. Think about this. With traditional business, and with that, how much money did that cost?
Oh my gosh.
$500, probably less than 500 total, right?
I wanted to be more in the red, so I went ahead and opened an LLC and registered for a trademark just because I liked having skin in the game. But it was like $400.
$400. So literally for $400, you got into financial services where you literally can make millions of dollars a year.
Absolutely. Hmm.
I saw a screenshot of a deposit, and I won't say whose checking account it was. In 1 week, it was $2.1 million in commissions. 1 week, 2.1 million. So when I say you can make millions of dollars a year doing this, that is no exaggeration. So you got involved 3 days in, you took your test, and then 2 weeks later, you got licensed. And now you're a couple weeks into it, you're out $400-500 total. And over that time, you now had to start learning the process, right? Learning the products.
Correct.
Yeah. And you've now become the, as we all call the IUL nerd. And
Yes.
I reach out to you. I'm like, hey, I need you to tell me what this is and how does this work? And right. And I've been in financial services now 13 years, and I'm still reaching out to you because you're so much further ahead than I am in this world, this part of the world. So in that 3 months, how much you're starting to make money now, right?
Yeah.
How
Yep.
long did it take you before you made your first $100 or whatever, your first dollar?
Okay, so it took me 2 weeks to get licensed.
Okay.
I closed my first policy the week after.
You
And
did. Okay.
in this business, you get paid twice a week. I
Yeah.
mean, name a business where you get paid twice a week. So I got paid all of the expenses and some during that first month.
Okay. So your first month, you made all your money back, 100% now in the black, right?
Yep.
Now you're 2 months into it. Have any idea how much you made your second month?
My second month, I think I was at 5 or 6 grand.
5 or 6 grand. And then now you're 3 months into it and you're a total of what?
16?
$16,000, 3 months into a business that costs a few $100s to get involved with, right?
Yeah.
And with that, of that, how many of them are 100% from you, meaning you're not getting referrals from anybody else? It's just you doing all the work by yourself.
Like a 20%?
Yeah, it's not very many, is it?
Maybe not even that.
The
Yeah.
reason I bring that up is one of the things that I like so much about this new financial services company that Emily and I are involved in is leverage. It allows you to leverage the resources of other people and other people's sphere to make money. And so, like you said, of you're 3 months into it, you got a couple $100 of investment, you've made $16,000, maybe 20% is from your effort. The other 80% is just helping other team members. That
Right.
sound about right?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
say my effort as in my own personal market, and the majority of others are now, as Randy mentioned earlier, I big into establishing a niche. And if I see an elite product out in the market that we have, and I have the ability to articulate and offer to other individuals, you better believe I'm going to hyper focus on that, blinders on. And
Yeah.
from that, not only did I create that whole training software to help other people on our team, help educate them, but that's how I became known for. And so now people like Rondi, like freaking Rondi, like you're like way above my league, and like you're asking me for help. So that's the power of this business.
It really is. And and that's why I had you on here today was I really want people to understand how easy it is. It's easy to get in. It's not an easy business, but it's not hard.
No,
It's not hard at all. Talk about hard. We were on a call yesterday with Ed Milet, and you heard him talking. Those guys were carrying hundreds of pounds of furniture up 5 flights of stairs because he sold that house. He traded it for $25 million for another piece of property up in Coeur d'Alene. And it's like 100 degrees in California right now. They're having this huge heat wave. The air conditioner's not working. I don't know if you heard him say that. The AC
yeah,
broke. And these guys, that's hard work, you know, sitting and talking to people via Zoom is not hard. It's not easy, but it's not hard work, right? When I
no,
was a garbage man for 5 years, that was hard work. You know, I got the crap beat out of me. I had people look at me like I was less human because I was dirty in a garbage truck. But I did that for 5 years because I want to be a firefighter. I wanted to be admired by people. I wanted to be respected by people. But when I was testing, they weren't hiring. And for one firefighter that they would hire, they would have 5,000 people apply for that job.
Wow.
5,001. And so it took me 5 years of testing to get hired, but I was fully committed. And what I see is a lot of people aren't committed to anything. You know, they'll give it the good old college try for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Look at
Yeah.
that one team member that we recruited. Like, he was less than 24 hours in and he quit. Which, you know, I don't get it, but people will do what they're going to do, and that's fine. But if you want to get in business, you got to be fully committed. Like you said, Emily, you're 100% in, no matter what. You're putting your blinders on, and it takes years. I mean, look at doctors, 12 years in college. Over 82% of all doctors that are interviewed said that they won't do it again, or they wouldn't do it again. 82%. And here, you can get a couple years into this business and make $1 million, which I know in a year from now, how much will you be making? Just based on your projections right now.
In a year from now?
Yeah, in a year from now.
Well over $1 million, 100%, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about what you are doing in order to make that $1 million and how that works. And in our main product that we help people with is called an IUL. And that was created by E.F. Hutton in 1980, but nobody knows about it. You know, and part of it's because you don't have to pay taxes on the withdrawals. So the IRS doesn't want anybody to know about it. Wall Street doesn't want anybody to know because there's no fees going to Wall Street. So tell us about some of the things that you got to do in the last couple months that you're really proud of.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So through my network of connections, I strategically pinpointed at first the successful individuals, those making 8-9 figures. And I first asked them about this IUL and this like godsend, right?
Yeah.
They all had multiple of these. So all of these bells are ringing and I'm doing like thorough research. And my wealth asset managers guys, all of them have it. And I'm like, wow, you know, this is like absolutely crazy. But what the mainstream understands when regards to retirement is your 401k, pre-tax dollars. They don't tell you that taxes are most likely to increase in the future. Boom, got to pay current state and federal taxes. Hear news in Chicago or Illinois and California, taxes are like raising, right? Imagine what they're going to be in 20 years from now when you want to have that money out of retirement.
California's going to 17.4.
No, it's crazy. And well, and then yeah. and then I start learning, okay, so that's the government's bread and butter, because Uncle Sam partners with you, Rondi, upon retirement, and they take out, let's call it a third. Well, years ago, the government was hurting for money, and they realized that people didn't want to take advantage of these pre-tax dollars and wanted to do post-tax dollars. Well, at the time, the government also needed money because we were in a lot of debt. So what did they create? Something called a Roth IRA. So they partnered with us now because they needed money. Mm-hmm. So as a consumer and as a person, I'm like, okay, so this is all government's plan. What are banks doing? Right? So now as I educate myself more on this indexed universal life policy that is often deemed as infinite banking or personal banking, mm-hmm. I truly believe in my whole heart that it's going to add value in so many people's lives. It's how can I educate them properly? It's like learning Chinese. I studied Spanish in college, Rondi. I don't know if you know that. So yo hablo un poco español. This was like learning Chinese. So as soon as I was able to bring this high level concept into layman's terms and introduce it first to the people I know, love, and trust, because I know that they could benefit from this, that was my foundation. Okay. So I sit down with individuals over these past couple months. I go over what their current financial situation looks like. Anywhere from debt, the cash flow, their life insurance, what's their retirement look like, and if there are any gaps I could help fill. Talk about people with children. What are they doing to save for college? 529 plans are only for accredited universities. Are they doing just prepaid? Or do they want to have access to cash, let's say in 10, 15 years from now, invest in multifamily properties, invest for their college education, or just have a really nice tax-free retirement where they borrow against themselves?
Yeah,
So
so I want to back up a little bit. You had said a couple things in there. Most of us have heard of a 401k, and then some of us heard of 403bs, 457s, TSPs, and all of that is just tax code for what type of employer you work for. So for example, if you have a 401k, then you're working for a for-profit corporation. If you have a 457, like I had when I was a fireman, you work for county, whether it's sheriff, city, it's a firefighter, police officer, and then TSPs are for teachers, and then you have the military stuff. So that's just tax code. And then you have IRAs, which are tax deferred accounts, where you get a deduction from your taxes. So you can postpone or procrastinate on when you're going to pay your taxes. And then you have the Roth IRAs, which you've heard me talk a lot about, because Roth IRAs are a great strategy to put $6,000 a year away that can grow tax free. But there's some problems with that. One, if you make over $130,000, you can't do it. Two, you can only put $6,000 in until you're 50. And the three, you wait till you're 59 and a half before you can even access it. There's some exceptions to that, but for the most part, you put $500 a month away and you can't touch it until you're 60 years old. And but then we have IULs, and that's what Emily was talking about. That's, again, taxed similar to a Roth IRA. You pay the tax on it, then you invest it, and then it grows tax free. So it's kind of like this, and this is something I ask Emily when I meet with families. Would you rather, do you think taxes are going to go up or go down? And what's
not
the answer
really
you always
up.
get?
Up.
They're going to go up,
Oh,
right?
well, actually, the answer I get goes into politics.
Yeah. Yeah. But think about it. Taxes are going to go up.
Yeah.
At one point, I don't know if you know this, in 1944, our taxes were 94%. Do you know that?
No, I had no idea.
94%. Yeah. They were at 94%. And prior to 1950s, there was no employer taxes. So generally, it was just entrepreneurs and business owners that paid taxes. Employees didn't. And that flip-flop in the 50s, and it become more of what it is now. But I think with the COVID bailouts, the CARES Act and all that, obviously taxes have to go up. They can't go down. And I don't think they're going to stay the same. So if taxes are going to go up, and we all believe that, why are we wanting to pay taxes in the future? Why are we procrastinating? And I ask people, would you rather pay taxes on a $10 bag of seed or on the harvest from the orchard 20 years from now? And what's surprising is people always say, I'd rather pay it on the seed, not on the harvest. And yet they do the opposite.
Yeah. Well, what I
They
say, Ron,
postpone. Yeah.
I say is, do you want to go on a fighting match with like Muhammad Ali and get punched real hard right now in the stomach, or in 30 years from now, when maybe you're in a wheelchair or you're on a walker, you want to get
Yeah.
punched real hard?
Yeah.
Take it now.
Yeah. So with the IUL, you actually put the money away now, and it grows tax free, and you can use it tax free, and you don't have to wait until you're 59 and a half. Some of these plans, you only have to wait 7 months before you start using it. So tell me about one of the simpler ones, and then we'll get in some of the advanced stuff that you did. Tell me about a simple one you've done recently that you're pretty proud of.
So, a simple IUL, let's say I spoke to someone actually around my age, and he wanted to start off by contributing $500 a month. And then once he turned 30, he wanted to go up to $1,000 a month, of which you could not do with a Roth IRA. And then we went back up to $1,500 a month. And so we structured his in a way that he could start taking policy loans out. And don't be afraid of that word, because the purpose is to not pay yourself back, starting at age 55 to supplement his retirement. Numbers wise, from age 55 to 85, we could start taking out over $150,000 of tax-free income for him. on a yearly basis.
So back up a little bit. So he's your age. He's paying $500 a month.
Yep,
At 30, he's going to start putting $1,000 a month, which would be above the Roth limits.
correct.
And then was it
35.
35? He's going to be put 1,500 a month, which is not a lot of money. Basically, what he's doing is he's taking his raise and he's just adding to it.
Yep.
And he's going to do this. And at age 55, he's going to pull out 150 grand a year tax free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that was today and he was living in California, that would approximately be $25,000 a month due to taxes. 300 grand a year. You can live pretty damn good, maybe not in California, but you can live in Florida where you live, Emily, for 150 grand in cash a year, $10,000 a month, right? Or $12,000 a month, 12,500, tax free until he's age 85. Now, with that, can he get more if he
More.
wants? So with that, did you set him up to where he's doing like a 3 or 5% increase every year due to inflation?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So basically he's getting $150,000 a year tax free on today's dollars. So in 30 years from now, it's actually going to be quite a bit more than 150,000.
Yep.
Yeah, and he can take it tax free because he's doing loans. So explain how that works with the loans, just real quick.
Yeah, so this is going to be high level. And if anyone listening right now is like, no way, this is too good to be true, schedule a call with us because I can go into the nitty gritty. But essentially, let's say in your bank account, Roth IRA, 401k, when you withdraw money, if you withdraw $500,000 from $1 million, Rhonda, you now have $500,000. By leveraging this life insurance policy, we want to take advantage of a zero wash policy loan. We do not pay taxes on it because remember, it's a policy loan, and our money, the cash value we've accumulated, can continue to grow alongside the indices.
Yeah, so basically the way I understand that way I explain it is you have $500,000 in your fund. The insurance company's using that to invest or day trade with it, and you get the first 15% if you're in a 15% contract with an insurance company like Nationwide or Transamerica or Pac Life or any of the other ones that we have 300 different companies that we work with. But you get the first 15%. Anything they make above 15%, they keep it. Mm-hmm. And what happens when you borrow against it, it's not like a 401k. When you borrow against a 401k or you take it out, it's no longer in the market. It's no longer accumulating. It's no longer growing. But with an IUL, you borrow against it. It stays in the market or in the index funds, growing, and then they loan it to you tax-free, and you don't have to pay it back.
The intent is actually not to. And that's why when you sit down at a real estate table, let's say that they're doing this capital raising and you need 100 grand of cash, ask a couple people. I bet you they're going to say, I got the cash value from my life insurance policy. The intent is to not pay yourself back, but have the total death benefit pay back all of the loans upon your death. So how I also...
So what happens with that is the IUL is actually a life insurance policy. So when you borrow the money from the policy, you don't have to pay it back. And when you die, the life insurance pays off the loan.
Correct. I like to explain it like Rondi. You would not get this policy for your beneficiary to live a lavish lifestyle upon your death. You would get this policy for you to live a lavish lifestyle during your living years.
And if something happened to you, though, it would take care of your family.
Oh my gosh, yeah, tenfold.
And I'm almost 50. I've had life insurance now since I was 16 and a half years old. My first policy when I was 16 was 16 and a half. And the reason I say in half is because I joined the military and I had to wait till I was 6 months into my 16th year to sign the paperwork. And it was $50,000. And I've never gone a single day without life insurance. Granted, I had 3 kids by the time I was 22. So I needed to have the life insurance for my family because I think if you're a father or a mother and you do not have life insurance, I think you are an extremely selfish individual. Plain and simple. If you're listening to this right now and you have kids and you do not have life insurance, I think you're selfish because you are unwilling to give up something to protect your kids. And you can fix that by simply reaching out to Emily or I, and we can sit down and show you how to do it. Whether you get it with us, we don't care. I just want everybody to have it because I can't tell you what you should do or shouldn't do, but I just personally think that if you don't have it, it's very selfish. And I think it's selfish because if something happens to you, who knows what's going to happen to your kids? You know, we recently had a mutual friend. I don't know if you heard that yesterday on the call with Josh's buddy. Father of 7 got killed, 0 life insurance. Father of 7 little kids, no life insurance. What's the mother going to do now? You know, she just lost the breadwinner, and now she got 7 little kids to feed and no money, probably in debt to their eyeballs like everybody else in America. So it's just sad. So let's go over. So that was a fairly basic IUL that you did. Let's talk about the one that you're setting up right now for the real estate investor, because I talk a lot about real estate. I think real estate is a great way to build wealth. I have a bunch of apartment complexes. I believe in real estate. I personally would not be buying anything in real estate right now as far as single family, but we're still buying apartment complexes. But let's talk about the advanced one you're setting up for this gentleman that's a real estate investor.
Yeah, so I have he's actually a syndicator, often back and forth with different multifamily commercial properties. And how we're setting his policy is he's funding it in what we're calling a max funded policy for a total of 7 years. Now we're structuring his in a way for the first 5, he's contributing $25,000 on a monthly basis. Now, this makes sense for him because he constantly has cash coming in and out. And rather than having it sit in a savings or a checkings account, why not him leverage it in a life insurance policy where A, it's tax protected and it continues to grow. From year 6 and 7, he's only going to be contributing $10,000 on a monthly basis. The magic number is 7 here in order to keep the tax protection aspect. So you have access to your money tax-free always.
So that's a lot of money, $25,000 a month, and then in the future, $10,000 a month. But for a real estate investor, somebody that has, you know, especially a syndicator, that's really not that much money. But what a lot of folks don't understand is in 7 years, what's he going to be able to do with this? Why is he putting so much money away? If he's a real estate investor, why would he be putting it in the policy?
Well, he's leveraging it actually like next month. So
yeah, so he can start pulling it out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now what's happening is, remember, the money's going to stay in the policy, growing up to, did you put him in a 15% cap? Or is it a 12% cap on this one?
This one's 12.
So he can earn up to 12% compounding interest on this money inside the IUL, borrow against it, and then go make a, you know, for me, for example, with my apartment complexes, I pay my investors 12%. So he literally can make 12% in the IUL and 12% for me and make 24%
on the same dollar.
On this money, on the same dollar.
Yeah, it's funny because we were doing the numbers and his return is roughly 12% as well. So it's exactly what he's doing. Well, his buddy did it, and his buddy is a mutual friend of mine. And he goes, you got to talk to this blonde girl, Emily. So we get on the phone, and now it's like, yeah, it's real. And once you see it, once you experience it, why is this unspoken about? Why, you know?
You know, I think it's because Wall Street doesn't want people to know about it. I think it's because the government doesn't want anybody to know. And then I think the other part is most tax professionals are uneducated. And what I mean by that is they got their blinders on and they're bean counters. And they're simply just filing your tax returns. And I say this all the time, it's your responsibility to figure out the tax code, the basics of tax code. Just like that book that I recommended to you earlier this week or last week, Tom Wheelwright's, and that is Tax-Free Wealth. And Tom Wheelwright is Robert Kiyosaki's CPA and tax professional. And this book, it's on my book list on the podcast website, but it's the basics of how to legally build wealth without paying a lot of taxes. And a lot of people don't understand that. So I think most tax professionals just are uneducated and they're ignorant to this, as in they just don't know about it. And then it sounds too good to be true that you can put almost unlimited money into an account and then pull it out tax-free. I mean, look at a 401k. What's the limit? I think it's $18,700 something a year.
Yeah.
So let's call it $19,000. Your client's going to put 25 grand a month, right? And then pull it out in a month via loan to invest in real estate and start double dipping on it.
Tax-free. Yeah.
Tax-free. Yeah. I know there's some illustrations that I run that people start pulling money out. They put in at 60, 65. They start pulling out at 70, and they can go till they're like 120 years old without running out of money. Or if they do a standard 401k, it's like 18 years and they're broke.
Well, and that's the power of borrowing against yourself. And it's not uncommon for someone around 60 who, let's say, has quite a bit of money in their 401k, who doesn't necessarily need to be touching it now. Take the tax event now, pay taxes now before their increase, and roll it out into a tax advantage vehicle that continues to accumulate money tax-free. It allows you to take advantage of it during your retirement years. That's another market as well. My dad's currently doing that with us.
That's something I never understood was why would, and a lot of CPAs will teach this, is, pay the tax later when your income bracket is lower and your tax bracket's lower. Like, why would you even want to plan on that? Like, when I turn 65, I want my income to be less than it is today. I mean, that's crazy.
Sounds good now. If you think about it, like, we all want instant gratification. Oh, I could wait it off. I'll procrastinate. I'll do it later. I'll work out tomorrow. I'll eat the salad tomorrow. Yeah, it all sounds good until it actually happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, shoot.
You know what's worse than being old?
Being dumb.
Being old and broke.
Yeah.
At least when you're young and broke, you can deal with it. But being old and broke, that's something that I never want to be there.
Speaking of time.
Yeah.
Compound interest, time value of money.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like we all as human beings need to do our due diligence. Like, we can't expect that we're going to learn and just run into magic vehicles. If you're listening to this call and you're still on this right now, you need to book an appointment, or you need to go out and do some research, because what we're saying right now is extremely valuable. And I wish I learned this during grad school. In fact, I called my finance professor. I did a dissertation with him.
What did he say?
Oh, I did a dissertation with him, and I said, listen, I want to hop on a phone call because you have 2 children and a beautiful wife. I think that this is something that would pique your interest. He has 4 of these. 4. And 4. I said, you spend so much time with me, and you did not think that this was important to tell me. It wasn't a part of the curriculum. It didn't come up. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's truly one of the things that the wealthy do that they don't tell about. The rich just don't tell anybody else about it. And here's the other thing people don't realize on this is you don't have to be 18 years old. We're setting one up for my grandson. He's 8 years old. And we're going to start out with $100 a month. By the time he's 22, I can't remember how much he was going to have in there, but it's like $100 and something thousand that he can borrow for college. He can borrow for a car if he wants. He can borrow to start a business. We can borrow it to buy a house. Doesn't have to go to college. $100 a month, turns 20, 21, 22. He's going to have $100,000 in there. And then if he continued, if I remember right, Emily, if he continued at like $100 or $200 a month till he's 65, it was like $3 million.
Yeah.
It was because of compound interest, right?
Yeah.
And that's just based off of the bottom of the stock market, like it just barely trugging along. If we have years like we did this year, it'll be considerably more than that. But
Well, I think as well, we didn't even touch on, like a side note, is one of the biggest features is we have a floor of 0%. And as your listeners probably know, any decrease in the market is actually more significant than any gain. The market goes down 40%, Rondi, it has to go back up 67% to break even. Back earlier this year, if you were anyone like my aunt who had all of their retirement stuck in a 401k, you can retire. Your money was
no,
down.
because it hasn't gone back up. Yeah, and what she means by that, the floor of zero means because these funds are not in, they're not actually stocks, they're index funds. They don't go below zero. So it's a lot like an escalator. If you're on an escalator and you're going up a flight of, to the next floor, if the power goes out, the escalator doesn't go backwards, it just stops. And this is how this fund works is when the market crashes, it just stops. And when the market turns back on, it continues to grow. And so you don't have that roller coaster ride that most people experience with the stock market. It's up one day and it's down the next day. And it's that roller coaster back and forth. And you're right. If it drops 40%, it doesn't need to go up 40% to gain it. It needs to go up quite a bit more than that. And there's some illustrations that you and I show people that if you put it in a 401k versus an IUL, the difference. And it's a
Oh,
huge difference when you take out the losses.
and I've done Excel sheets with very analytical minds going to the 401k, to the Roth IRA, traditional IRA, IUL, these other index funds. I'm just like, throw it at me. Talk to a
Yeah.
tax attorney, wealth asset manager, CPA, all the different viewpoints.
Yeah. And the traditional financial advisor doesn't want to tell you about these funds because there's no commissions for them. They can't charge you 5.5% to put the money in, 1.5% for marketing, 1% to manage it. It's all said and done, you need to make 10% return to break even. And they don't want you to know about this because there's no money for them, right? So I know you have a call to get on, so we're going to wrap this up. If you're listening right now and you want some help with your finances, or if you're interested in looking at what our business does and looking at a business overview, get in touch with Emily or I at rondylambert.com/Emily. That's rondylambert.com/Emily. Put in your contact information and one of us will reach out to you. And this is free. If you went to Merrill Lynch, if you don't have at least $5 million, they're probably not going to talk to you. I have a slide in one of my presentations from the sales director of Merrill Lynch that is scolding his salespeople, saying, stop talking to the poor people in the middle class. We are not a charity, essentially is what he says. And this is how they look at us, us non-rich people. I say that as everybody else listening to this. But they probably wouldn't talk to most of you because you don't have enough money. Where Emily and I, if you got $20 a month, we're going to talk to you. If you got $20 a month and you want to start investing, we'll talk to you. We'll help you out because we're not doing it for the money side of it. We're doing it to help people out. But go to rondylambert.com/Emily, and it'll be in the show notes as well. And we'll reach out to you and look at it. Again, we're not going to charge you for this. There are some people that charge $1,000 for this. They'll go over all your finances, your taxes, your retirement accounts, your insurance. They're going to bill you for it. We're not going to bill you anything for it. And if we can find some holes in your financial ship, then we'll show you how to plug it. And then you decide what you want to do with it. So thanks, Emily, for coming on.
Of course. It was such a pleasure. I could talk about this all day long.
I know. I wish we could talk a little bit longer, and we will later, but I know you have a family to help here in the next few minutes, so I got to let you go. Any closing words for us, Emily?
Honestly, I look forward to speaking with as many of you guys as possible. My whole goal and my passion in joining this business is truly to help. And like Rondi just said, it's not $1,000 a month, 500, 200. It's anything that you could do to better your future. And by starting now, now's the best time. It's not too late. If you wait till tomorrow, yeah, it is too late because you have the opportunity to start now. So my goal is for you all is to take action and understand that you have both myself and Rondi to just help. We're not charging, and my heart is to teach you all something, to be a blessing in your life, and to be a little light. So
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And as always, if I can help you with your credit, your taxes, your insurance, your retirement, please reach out to me. All places on social media at Rondi Lambeth. And again, to get in touch with Emily or I to look at your finances to see if we can help you with that. No strings attached, nothing to buy, nothing. We're not going to sell you anything. RondiLambeth.com/Emily. And we will reach out to you and give you a free consultation with that. So thanks again, Emily, for coming on.
of course, I hope you all have an amazing day.